you all for joining us in February. That's what it is. It's February Taac meeting. I'll get us started here. Do some general housekeeping. We have an agenda and meeting minutes. Hopefully everybody has reviewed the agenda and the meeting minutes, so we can move forward with a motion to approve the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Who seconded?
Claudia.
Claudia seconded.
And just for so folks, if you're not talking, please mute. And before you do talk, please announce your name.
Sorry, I know better. That was Sam who moved.
It's okay. In part for meeting minutes, but also so folks. Again, one of the things about being online, you can't always pick up who folks are. All right, so we had a motion, a second. I will go down the list of folks that I have, members that I have that are in the meeting, and by all means, if you are a Taac member and I did not call your name, just call out your vote. But I think I got everybody down who's in the meeting. So Sam, and we're voting. Sorry, we're voting yay or nay on the agenda right now.
Yes.
John.
Yay.
Claudia.
MNCCD, yes.
Carrie.
Yes.
Daryl.
Yes.
Richard.
Yes.
Eric.
Yes.
Patsy.
Yes.
And Ken.
Yes.
Did I miss anybody who's on maybe calling in? All right. Okay. And oh yes, David votes yes as well. Myself. All right. On to the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes or changes to the minutes?
I'll approve Claudia from MNCCD. I approve the minutes.
Sam,
Thank you.
I second.
Thank you, Sam. All right, I'll go same order. Sam.
Yes.
John.
Yes.
Claudia.
Yes.
Carrie.
Yes.
Daryl.
Yes.
Thank you. Richard.
Yes.
Eric.
Yes.
Patsy.
Yes.
And Ken.
Yes.
All right, thank you all very much. Let's dive right in to the Orange Line connecting bus service.
Hey, David.
Yes, Ken.
Point of information.
Go ahead.
So, is this all new members now? Do we need some introductions? Are there new people on the council?
Somebody's mic is incredibly bouncy.
Yeah. If you're not talking, please mute yourself because you're getting too much feedback.
If you're on the line and you're not talking, please mute yourself.
Can you tell who that is, Dave? Oh, there we go.
It looks like Doug Cook.
It won't do it.
Don't you just love technology?
So no, we haven't had new members.
Okay.
There's no new members yet.
Okay, gotcha.
Hopefully next month.
Okay.
But it is a good question. All right, at least I don't think so. I haven't received any word from the Met Council yet that we have officially appointed new members.
Sorry, I believe the chair just did, but the incumbents all received a reappointment.
Okay. So you all might be the old and new members then.
Yes, sir. Andy, are there new members or are just reappointments?
Only reappointments.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Appreciate
You
that.
bet.
Fantastic. Okay.
As a matter of point of order, we usually do introductions. I know why we don't do it. I know why we don't do it online because it takes an awful long time. But maybe we should highlight that for next time. So maybe we can do it every other time or whatever.
I think that's a good idea, Daryl. We'll proceed with the more in-depth introductions next month in March. All right, I'm going to pass it off to John, Cindy, and Juan. Orange Line Connecting Bus Study Proposed Concept Plan. Just for a note, folks, this isn't on the Orange Line in general. This is a more focused presentation. So just a reminder to folks, let's try to keep on topic. But if it's relevant, by all means, ask questions about the overall Orange Line too. But I might redirect us to focus just on this if necessary. All right, who is going to go first? Are you going first, John, or will it be Cindy or Juan?
Hi everyone, this is Cindy Harper. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cindy Harper. I'm the manager of route planning, Metro Transit, in our service development division. And with me today is John Dillery, who's a senior transit planner and also the project manager for this project, and Juan Rangel from our community outreach and engagement team. I'm going to start us off with some background information, then hand it over to John to get into some of the more detailed changes. And then we will come back at the end and talk a little bit about our outreach and engagement and next steps, if that sounds fine to everyone. So the Orange Line process, the Connecting Bus Study process, initially kicked off back in fall of 2019. However, this is something that we had to put on pause last spring due to COVID, and then restarted it again last fall. And now we're at the point where we have brought out our proposed service changes to the public for their feedback and engagement. Next slide, please. So first, let's start off with the foundation of our project, the Metro Orange Line Bus Rapid Transit itself. So the Orange Line replaces most of Route 535 and 597. A dozen stations between downtown Minneapolis and Burnsville, feature all-day frequent station-to-station service, 7 days a week, which is an improvement over the Route 535 today. Every 10 minutes in the rush hour, every 15 minutes in the off-peak. It's under construction right now and is on schedule to open at the end of the year. Next slide. Our project goals are to maximize the extent and the access of the benefits of the new Orange Line. So our goals include connecting more than 50,000 jobs outside of downtown Minneapolis with the new highway BRT line, prioritizing those who rely on transit the most, including Black, Indigenous, people of color, and low-income communities. And of course, whenever we have the opportunity to reassess our service, we're always looking to simplify our routes, making them easier to use and understand and just more convenient. Next slide. And at this point, I'll turn it over to John to actually walk through the proposed changes.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Cindy. And thank you, members of the committee. I hope you can hear me clearly. The first slide, we'll just go from north to south, generally speaking, so we don't miss anything. The first slide shows the Lake Street Station. You see it there in the lower left corner, perhaps, of the map. That was a stop on 35W, some of you may remember, over 10 years ago now. And Route 27 dates back to that time. It was designed to connect the Phillips neighborhood residents, but also the largest employers in South Minneapolis Abbott Northwestern, the Alina Group, and Wells Fargo Home Mortgage, with connections not at two major places, the Blue Line Station, Lake Street, and Hiawatha, and on the east end, and the Lake and 35W on the west end. And almost half of the ridership went away when the Lake Street 35W stop had to close for the construction. Now we're excitingly awaiting the opening of the new, pleasant, and easy-to-use new station at Lake and 35. So we extend this route from its terminal shown in light blue now on 4th Avenue, westward over to Lake and 35W. And the buses will come back using 1st Avenue to get to 28th and back to the other end of the line. Every half hour running Monday through Friday for about 5:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. Now the next slide, moving on down the line, I noticed I skipped 46th Street. That's because we have service and we'll make connections, important connections with the Orange Line at 46th Street, but we're not recommending any changes to the routes at that point. So we'll move to 66. There's two basic kinds of service changes we're looking at when it comes to connecting bus service. There's the route changes that we really need to make to replace the local pieces of Route 535, Route 597. And then there's services like this, where we are making the connection at 66th Street with Route 515, no problem, but we should be able to make a good connection and distribute riders back and forth in Richfield. But while we're at it, we've been looking at this for years. Let's see if we can simplify this route. And so indeed, this is the proposal. And here's some trade-offs. We make it into one basic route, all the buses, all the same trips. Mall of America on the east, 24th Avenue, Bloomington Avenue through the eastern edge of Richfield, swing through 66th and Cedar area by Cedar Point Commons Shopping Center, and then right across 66th Street to Southdale, back and forth. We run every 20 minutes daily now on this route. But to do this clean, simplified route, we remove the branch that goes to VA Medical Center, to 54th Street VA Medical Center, you see in the purple in the upper right corner. Now, we just recently extended Route 7 from 34th Avenue, 58th Street down to Cedar Point Commons, 66th and Cedar. Makes a good connection with the 515. We didn't extend all the trips, but with this concept plan, we are extending virtually the whole route, rush hour, everything, every half hour it runs. And that helps replace service in the branch up there. But to get to VA Medical Center itself, the alternative would be take the 515 to the Mall of America, to the station there, and get on the blue, get on the blue line, which is rapid and frequent, to VA Medical Center. Now, we can make that work. The connections can work. It's VA Medical Center station as opposed to VA Medical Center stop. A little difference there. And it's a little longer trip to do that, but it's one of the trade-offs. It's an impact. The other branch of the 515 we've been running is on Longfellow Avenue on the east side of Highway 77. You see it in purple, south of 66th Street. And that would all be moved over to Bloomington Avenue too. So you get a lot better service on Bloomington Avenue. There's a couple of employers at the airport, FedEx and UPS, that rely on the bus there, but on a very small degree. There's about 8 passengers a day. So we're in conversations with those employers, looking for some creative alternatives. The purple line is shown going down 12th Avenue, across 494 to American Boulevard. Do you see that up near the bottom of the map? That's the current route. And we'll actually keep running that route this coming year until late 2022. The proposed route is recommended to follow the new 77th Street underpass, which is under Highway 77. That will open late 2022. And that's everything but Richfield, 66th Street. Next slide, please. In Bloomington are where most of the big changes are. Route 535 has 80 bus stops between Normandale College and downtown Minneapolis Terminal. And here's the Orange Line coming along with 12 stations. And we have to measure that difference and say, where are those differences? Most of the bus stops needing coverage are in Bloomington. Lyndale Avenue would be served by a new route called 534. And it's a short shuttle route that would run north-south Lyndale between American Boulevard Station at Knox Avenue. You see where it says Southtown near the top of the map. And then it would proceed across American, come south on Lyndale. And it would terminate at 98th Street Station, which we've been calling South Bloomington Transit Center. But now it's known as 98th Street Station going forward. That's a short, efficient route. We can provide significantly better service than Route 535 has been offering. 30-minute frequency in the non-rush hour evenings between these 2 points. 20-minute frequency in the peaks, rush hours, and we can divert trips via James Avenue. You see the dotted blue line, Central Bloomington Industrial Park. We can get people to work over there. VEEP, volunteers enlisted to assist people, and Hennepin County Human Services are located near Lyndale and 96th Street and would have a better service than today's 535. The 553 is a commuter express route that is considered a bit unique. We've suspended most of our commuter express routes because everybody downtown is now telecommuting from home. But the 553 serves a unique local coverage on Portland Avenue in Bloomington that you see on the far right edge of the map, and no other route does that. So the proposal is run Route 553 on a new extension across 102nd Street, Lyndale, and have it terminate at 98th Street Station, offering a new connection, replacing part of Route 535. So that would move us on to the next slide now, more coverage.
John, this is
yes.
Just have a quick question for you. Did you want so this is a lot of different parts of South Minneapolis and the southern suburbs. Do you want feedback on each individual after each slide from members if we have it, or do you want to wait till the end?
Might be a little easier to wait till the end if people don't mind doing it that way. I'd be happy to hear people's insights, absolutely, of course. There's only a couple more left.
Sounds good. Okay,
thank you. And I'm trying to measure the amount of detail to make it clear. There's a lot here. The next slide, thank you, is what do we do about the Route 535 and services along 494? Today, the 535 is on 35W north of 76th Street and south of 82nd Street. But between those 2 points, it covers local needs along 76th Street, 77th Street, north of the freeway, and also along American Boulevard, south side of the freeway, by Southtown. And it provides local access to Penn Avenue and Lyndale Avenue. Does a lot of coverage there. Orange Line stops in 2 places, on Knox Avenue, just south of 76th Street, and on Knox Avenue at American Boulevard. What about access? So Route 540 exists. It's our crosstown route on 76, 77th. It's shown in purple. It's simplified to be a direct route between Mall of America, all across the north side of the freeway of 77, 76. All the buses will do the same thing all the time without exception, which isn't the case now. And they'll go to Normandale Lake area, which is shown at the western end of the route there, where it says Normandale Lake Boulevard. Always via Cahill Road, where there are apartments. Simplified route. Return to 20-minute frequency during the peak periods, rush hours, and 30-minute service most other hours. Bit of an improvement on weekend service, 30 or 60-minute service. Key connection for the north side of the freeway. American Boulevard, south of 494, we have Route 538, which continues essentially unchanged. It's shown in light blue between Southdale in the upper left corner, Knox American Station by Southtown, and then on East 86th Street to Mall of America. we have these two scenarios, and if we can afford it, we'll, with a higher investment later on, we'll put in better midday frequency than it is today, but essentially it's the same route. Route 542 is the big news. That route's currently suspended, so we bring it back, and shown in yellow on the south side is the American Boulevard route, all of America, and the old 542 used to jog up Lyndale to 77th, come down Penn Avenue, back to American Boulevard. Now, the proposal is straight across American Boulevard to serve the American Boulevard station. And because that's a more direct route, we can send the route farther west. It used to just end at Normandale Lake Boulevard, Normandale Lakes. For the time savings we've got by going straight across American Boulevard, we go further west and we cover the area along 78th Street, north of 494, out to Highway 169 on the far left end of the map. And that is some office buildings and the Bramer Park area in Edina. Basic service every half hour, roughly, or so in peaks. Hopefully, if we can invest more, we'd like to bring it to a full service route that runs every day in the off-peak and peak. And that covers our distribution of people from the orange line around 494. Now the left slide, there's two more slides. The next one, go to the next slide. Thank you, please. Is one of the major changes needed is 98th Street. This map shows the concept to change those things. Route 535 runs most of its trips on weekdays now across 98th Street from 98th Street Station, 35W, straight over to Normandale Community College, or at least very directly. But it's not there anymore. The Orange Line doesn't go near Normandale College, which has contributed a large number of riders to us daily on this route during the school year. So we feel we need to make a bold move. So what we're recommending here is Route 539, shown in purple, is the same crosstown as exists now between Mall of America, Old Shakopee Road, 98th Street. But west of 35W, it's completely changed in this concept. It becomes a direct route. You see it going straight across 98th Street to serve Normandale Community College and Normandale Village. There's a lot of apartments and affordable housing around Normandale Village. And this route would run every 30 minutes, most hours weekdays, 30 or 60 minutes on weekends, which is an improvement over the existing Route 539 on weekends. In the morning rush hour, because it's so important to get students to school at Normandale College conveniently, and everybody's coming at once to morning classes, Route 539 would have a 20-minute frequency in the morning peak, which is an upgrade from what's there today. Well, that's great. 539 becomes a good direct link between the Orange Line and other routes to these important destinations west. But what about the current 539, which serves Penn Avenue around Southtown, Old Shakopee Road on the west end there, and the Valley West Shopping Center, as well as France Avenue? To replace Route 539, we propose Route 536, a new route which would be a parallel connecting route, would start at the American Boulevard station at the north end there, and to go directly where most of the riders are. We go straight down Penn Avenue, across 98th Street by Creekside Community Center, which is at that corner, down to Old Shakopee Road. Then we'd go Old Shakopee Road, Beard, 108th Street, get by the apartments. Also, we go by Valley West Center. And then the route would end at Normandale Community College. Well, there's people on Old Shakopee Road that go directly over to the Mall of America on the current route, and vice versa. So connections between these two routes, 536, 539, will be very important to arrange at the points where they cross. Now, there is an impact. In the light purple color, mauve color, we see current Route 539 on the map, and notice that 90th Street between Penn and France is no longer served. This is one of the impact areas where we'd be discontinuing service. And Route 537 might be brought back if we will invest more if the market returns, and that would bring service back to 90th and France. There's an apartment building there. But otherwise, that's an impact we'll we'd have to deal with and listen to people about that. 90th Street has about 9 passengers on it. Most of them are walking distance from Penn Avenue. So that covers the 98th Street area. There's one more slide about our details. Next slide, please. Thank you. Route 547 is the express route that runs in the peak periods between Southwest Bloomington points, which is what this map is showing, and 35W. And the buses generally go 35W express to and from downtown Minneapolis, rush hours. The route also has carried people who work in Southwest Bloomington out Old Shakopee Road, Southwest Bloomington employers area from Minneapolis, Richfield, Bloomington. We're recommending that the 597 be replaced completely. The Orange Line takes over between 98th Street Station and downtown Minneapolis. The local branches of Route 597 are replaced. 547 would be the new route that would connect 98th Street Station, go out to the employment areas along West Old Shakopee Road, West 106th in the morning, keep coming along on Auto Club Road and 110th, bring the residents back to 98th Street Station, where they would get on the Orange Line, perhaps other routes too, depending where they're going. And the process of that route would reverse in the PM peak period. Route 547 would run every 30 minutes, both peaks, broad peaks, covering all the key work shifts. Route 597 has another branch today that runs on West 102nd Street. And we'd replace that with new Route 548, which is a little different from today's routing. It would start on Highland Greens Drive, west of Normandale, where there's apartment buildings. It would come straight across 102nd Street, all the way over to Old Shakopee Road, a little more direct route, take you right to 98th Street Station. 30-minute rush hour services over a broad peak period for all the major work shifts, AM and PM. No 98th Street service on this route anymore because, as you may recall, we are putting in a good, frequent, all-day service on Route 539 on 98th Street. And this summer, that's all of the details of the concept plan. And I hope that it was easy to follow. Be glad to answer any questions. Thank you.
This is David. Thank you very much, John. Members, questions regarding these connecting routes to the Orange Line? I know that was a lot of information. All right, no questions. I don't have any questions either.
Well, thank you. The only other thing we point out then is this slide that's up on the screen now just follows on from what I was describing. And it's a list of route by route improvements we'd like to make if we have the resources and the market returns. One idea is the Route 515 66th Street to go back to every 15 minutes high frequency service on weekdays and Saturdays. And that's an advantage for making connections with a 15-minute frequency Orange Line. We'd like to try weekend service on that new Lindale Avenue, Route 534 in Bloomington. 537 I mentioned a while ago, and the other routes. 542 would be a major increase if we could do it eventually with midday and weekend service. Well, thank you.
Well, Mr. Chair, I actually have just one quick question. This is Eric Henderson.
Go ahead, Eric.
With so many routes kind of changing and altering, what type of educational campaign do you have to notify users of these changes? And you take into account accessibility when looking at reaching out to users and riders when changes like this happen?
Mr. Chair, this is Cindy Harper again, and this is actually a really nice transition to the last couple of slides we have here that talk about our outreach and engagement process. So Jason, if you're able to maybe move ahead. So just very quickly, our project timeline. Of course, right now we are right in the heart of our outreach and engagement, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. We then plan to take
think we might have lost you, Cindy. Probably technical issues.
Better?
I think she's
Yes.
back.
Oh, you're back.
Is she?
I don't know. Cindy, well, I see the blue around the. I see that Cindy's attempting to talk. Could John or pick up on the engagement section while Cindy figures out we figure out what's going on with Cindy?
Sure, this is Juan from Metro Transit. I can fill in until she gets back.
Thank you.
So yeah, as Cindy mentioned, we're in the middle of the public comment period now that the concept plan is gone live and been proposed. We're seeking comment through February 22nd. And the purpose of seeking comment is to inform our plan revision, which we'll be revising the concept plan in the spring before developing a recommended plan that we'll seek final approval on in the summer of 2021. And then the proposed plan, a recommended plan, would be implemented along with the opening of the Orange Line, which is scheduled for late 2021. If you go to the next slide, I can talk a bit more about the engagement. Thank you. So on our project website, we have hosted.
Can you speak a little bit louder, please?
Oh yeah, sorry. Is that better? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Great. So on our project website, we have the concept plan posted in a PDF form and broken down by specific chapters to make it a bit more manageable to view. We also have a project video displayed there as well. And one of the main tools we're using to inform folks about the concept plan and to seek feedback is a map-based survey using several of the maps that John shared earlier. And, really highlighting the proposed changes in a simple way so folks can provide feedback. So we expect that this map-based survey will be our main tool to get a lot of feedback, but we also are offering other ways for folks to learn about the project. We're hosting a couple public meetings and a public hearing. Our first public meeting will be this Saturday, and we're hosting another one on February 9th and February 10th for folks to learn about the project and participate in a question and answer discussion there. Cindy, do you want to jump in here? I see that you're back in the chat.
Sure. Thank you. You actually were doing a really great job.
Thanks.
So just to finish off with Juan was saying, yes, we have 3 community meetings coming up starting Saturday. All 3 meetings will be exactly the same. So same format, same content. So you only need to go to one of those if you're planning to. And we are also working, in addition to our community meetings, we're going to be out on the street actually starting today, talking with some of our customers at key stations and bus stops, handing out a brochure and letting them know what's going on. We've also posted some of our bus stops with information that's happening, and working with also some of the institutions in the area, such as Normandale Community College, the I-494 Transportation Management Organization, and other employers, all 4 cities in the study area we've been partnering with as well to help get the word out. It's important to us that we make sure that we're hearing from a diverse set of riders. And also, we need to keep in mind that right now, especially with the pandemic, not everyone who is interested in transit is actually riding with us right now. So we need to make sure that we are reaching out in other ways to get their feedback. There's 4 main ways for folks to tell us what they think about the proposed changes. To attend one of the meetings on February 6th, 9th, or 10th. send us an email. This information is also available on the project website. The Met Council has a public comment line, but our main source of feedback is the map-based survey that's on the website that Juan was talking about just a minute ago. So with that, I'd be happy to take any questions. Jason, if you maybe want to fast forward to there you go. So that is the website for our project. Encourage you, if you have a little bit of time, to take a look. A lot more information, a lot of the detail that John went through really rather quickly is out on that website as well. We have a full project report, and if you're interested in just one or two routes, you can easily access the information. There's got a lot of good information about the proposal, how to give us your feedback, and just about the project in general, both the Orange Line and the connecting bus study. So thank you.
This is Ken. I have a question.
Yes, Ken.
So first of all, I apologize for you hearing my jaws in the background. I'm having all kinds of technical issues, and I was not even aware. I was trying to find my mute and unmute button. So I apologize for the disruption there. My question, well, a comment and a question. First of all, hi Juan. Good to see you.
Hey, Ken.
My question or comment basically is, you mentioned a lot about map-based surveys, and map-based surveys traditionally are very difficult for people who use screen readers or other assistive technology. So a suggestion could be that a narrative could be written describing what's being asked for on a map-based survey that's narrative in nature. That could be a suitable substitute for people that use assistive technology and can't use a map-based system. That's just one comment. Another comment, and it may be out of scope for this conversation since I missed the majority of the presentation due to technical issues trying to log back in. But I just want to also make a plug here that of the importance of stations being really intentionally focused on in terms of accessibility. So if all the stations appear to be the same, that's the best scenario because it doesn't matter what station we're on. We know what the platform layout is that's comfortable for people that are blind or visually impaired. We've run into some problems with some other lines where a station is switched to the opposite side of the street because there's no space for a station in the normal spot. That presents a huge problem for travelers that are blind or deafblind. So I would just like to just stress and emphasize the importance of uniformity in where the stations are and the platforms being as much as possible the same footprint and the same pattern. And I'll stop there. Thank you.
This is
Great.
Sam.
Thank you, Mr. Okay.
Yes. Before you ask, Sam, did anybody from the presentation team want to respond? I thought maybe you were about to do that, Cindy. This is David.
Or you want us screaming at them about something? I mean, listen to them.
We can hear you, Daryl. Sam, go ahead and ask the question.
Okay. First of all, I do want to echo Ken's comments on uniformity with stations. I think that is really super imperative. And I apologize if I missed this. Someone's puppy was distracting me. And I want to ask if when you do a trial trip or if you're just doing a new route or something, how long do you leave that route there in place before you decide that it isn't working or you don't have the ridership to support that route? Did that make sense?
Oh, she's having issues, audio issues.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm back again. I don't know if John or Juan was able to address the concerns, or if you wanted to re-ask that question.
Did you want me to re-ask it, or did you hear?
I did not hear it.
Oh, I just wanted to echo Ken's comments of how important uniformity was for stations, for people who are blind and visually impaired. But I also wanted to ask, when you're doing a trial route, or if you're, putting in a new route, how long do you leave it there before you decide if the route is not working, or you just don't have the ridership to support that route?
Great. Thank you for repeating that. I apologize for the technical issues. Yes, I did hear both you and the prior gentleman's comments about the station layout for the Orange Line stations themselves. And I know that those are already well into construction. I think that there's been some discussion. Juan maybe could follow up with this, or Robin Kaufman, about doing a tour over the summer of those stations before the Orange Line opens, so you can see for yourselves how things are laid out. For the most part, it is definitely a very structured, consistent design. Also, just as a quick clarification for the comments about the map-based survey, thank you. I should have been a little more clear. The survey is accessible, and it does include a description of what's going on, as well as the map. So hopefully that does make it a little more universal. In response to the question about how long we try some of these new things, generally we like to do at least 12 to 18 months. And it depends a little bit on what's going on in terms of our overall budget situations. If we are facing budget issues, that may be a complicating factor. Also, trends are really important to us. And so even if a route maybe isn't necessarily meeting its ridership or subsidy productivity standards right away, if it's showing consistent growth, that's certainly a positive sign versus being stagnant. So thank you.
This is Richard Rowan.
Yes, go ahead.
AARP rep. Looking at your engagement plan, I'd just like to emphasize that there's a lot of seniors that live along this route. I'm not as familiar with this part of Bloomington and Minneapolis, but I think it's always a good idea to reach out to agencies that serve seniors to try to get input from that portion of your ridership.
Thank you. Juan, I don't know if you have any comments on that.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and we're working closely with the cities to help us, spread the word. If you have any, special contacts in there, I'd be happy to make sure that we get messages out to them. We have a pretty good campaign to reach out to local media as well. We have a piece running out in the Sun Post in that area. But I also always appreciate any, contacts that we want to make sure we inform about this project.
Okay, thank you.
Any more members have questions? Patsy, go ahead.
A couple things now. One, I cannot remember exactly the map that you were showing, but it had to do with the bus that will be servicing from MOA to the college. And you also were talking about bringing up one that would go from the college towards Southdale. I'm not sure, only because I live here in Bloomington, how aware you are of the new bridge that they placed on France Avenue, west side, to make it easier for the college students, because a lot of them are taking up residence right there in those apartment complexes on 94th and France there. During the wintertime, there's a lot of walking over that bridge. So the busing is very necessary for them.
Did you want them to try to find that map so you can refer specifically to it, Patsy?
Sure. It was, I know, towards the end.
You said the one with the mall, right? The mall, one of the Mall of America routes.
Yeah,
That's the John Dillery. That's this slide here, Route 539, I believe.
539 would go back and forth, but
Right.
then when you go from the Normandale College heading north on France Avenue, there is a apartment complex right there on the west side that a lot of people are taking up residence there while they're going to school. And that I know is one big concern is the lack of transportation from them to the college. They used to walk right there on France Avenue, but there was now a current bridge is placed along the side of the road. But in the wintertime, it's icy.
So, excuse me, this is John Dillery. I'm just making sure I understand, Ms. Murphy. That's you're referring to housing that's north of Normandale College and west of France Avenue?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'll take a look at that. Thank you.
Yep. And the other comment that I had was going along with what Ken and Sam was saying. Not only is, I'll call it consistent or continuity of how the stops are for somebody who is visually impaired, but also, such as myself being disabled, keeping that same idea is if it's all the same, we know where things are and whatever. But when it changes from one stop to another, even when I used to ride regular bus route, it was difficult to know things sometimes. Sometimes there were bus stops that had a door on each or opening on each side, and it was a glass wall in between. Some were just one opening to that bus stop, so on and so forth. So it's not just somebody who is visually impaired, but it goes along the way with a lot of different disabilities.
Great, thank you.
Yes.
This is David. Any more members have questions or comments? All right. Well, thank you, John, Cindy, and Juan. This is exciting. Building out a lot of South Minneapolis and the southern Minneapolis suburbs transportation network. So,
great. Thank you for your time.
Nice.
Thank you.
All right. So moving on to the next and last agenda item, which is my agenda item. And it shouldn't take too long, but was a long time coming. Almost a year ago now, we had a couple resolutions in which we voted to support the increasing of accessible seating on buses, essentially. And we also had another resolution that voiced our support for some sort of educational campaign that would let folks know what this seating is for, essentially. We have put together an official letter that was sent out along with the agenda last week. Hopefully everybody read it. It's the final version that a small group of us had been working on for the last few months. And we are hoping to be done with it and have it submitted to the chair and council members, so they can see where we stand on this and take steps accordingly. I think they're on board with what we want to do, but it's always nice to have it formalized.
Chair,
Yes.
before we go any further, I want to thank the small team that you did assembled to work on this, and I have looked at the letter, and I do think it's the best. It's the best that we got right now, and I think as long as we understand that this is really just an opportunity for us to really open the lines of communication and really say, when you're looking at substantial changes or monumental changes that are going to affect the system as a whole, that we need to be at the table from the beginning, not in the middle or at the end, but we need to be there from the beginning. And it means, if it means that we need a little extra accommodations to be able to do that, then they're going to have to figure that out.
Thank you for that, Daryl. If folks want to, I'm happy to read the letter aloud. It's something that we've all been.
Please do that.
I'd be happy to. We've all been dealing with this for many years now, and from what I've heard from folks at the Met Council, they're on the same page as we are when it comes to this space in the buses. But I will read the letter aloud now. I don't think we need a formal vote to approve it, but I just want to make sure that everybody's input has been heard. You all saw a draft of this letter a few months ago, and this is really just the polished up version of it. All right, so I will start reading it now. Dear Chair Zelli and Metropolitan Council members, the Transportation Accessibility Advisory Committee and its members are writing to you regarding the issues faced every day by people with disabilities that utilize Metro Transit services. In particular is the issue of priority seating on the fixed route bus system being used by individuals that it is not intended for. The Metro Transit fixed route bus system operates for the benefits of everybody: workers, shoppers, people with disabilities, parents, teachers, old, young, rich, poor, and by mandate of the Americans with Disabilities Act, Metro Transit is required to have on all its fixed route bus systems priority seating, which is designated only for people with disabilities and those aging. While Metro Transit is in full compliance with the ADA, there is a documented and consistent issue of priority seating being used by people for whom it is not designated. Sometimes it's not even a person occupying the priority seating. Yet furniture items, grocery bags, strollers, or other large, bulky items. If someone is in need of the priority seating because of a disability and the seating is full, the bus driver is required to ask someone to move. And then we cite the Federal Registry where it says bus drivers are required to ask people to move. However, it is too often the case that the person will not move to other available seats. Keep in mind, not all disabilities are visible. When alternative seating is not available for the rider being requested to move, drivers are encouraged to use a free ride coupon, in quotes, to encourage people to move from priority seating. Nonetheless, when people do not move themselves from their bulky items, it causes the crux of the matter at hand, which are rider pass-ups. A pass-up is when there is no spot for someone on the bus. From data provided by Metro Transit between January and June of 2019, almost half of the pass-up riders were people who use a wheelchair. That would be 360 pass-ups of folks who use wheelchairs in that 6-month period. While it is Metro Transit policy that the driver call in every pass-up to ensure there is either space on the next bus, no more than 30 minutes away, or if more than 30 minutes away, calling in another form of transportation for that person. There are many documented complaints where either the 30-minute rule isn't followed, or even worse, the pass-up is never called in. This would be out of line with Metro Transit policy and federal law. And when drivers are out of step with the law, they are disciplined and retrained. March 4th, 2020, passed motion. Taac supports increasing the amount of priority and accessible seating on fixed route buses. This could entail other forms of space on the bus for folks who may need it but do not have a disability. March 4th, 2020, passed motion. Taac supports an awareness campaign on the uses of priority and accessible seating and its importance to people with disabilities, transportation and the general public. Some suggestions that we would be willing to do is Taac is willing to contribute to the content of production and of PSA materials, whether it's video, social media, a brochure, broadcast media, like, for example, PSAs, posters at bus stops, possibly a story on local television. As always, Taac will work with Metro Transit and Metropolitan Council staff to ensure the rights and safety of riders with disabilities are met, and that every rider, no matter disability status, obtains the full benefits of a robust and equitable public transportation system. Sincerely, Taac members.
Mr. Chair, this is Ken.
Yes, sir.
Two things right off the top. So that very first sentence, the Transportation Access Advisory Committee and members, I think you should strike and members. That's kind of redundant. We are the committee, and I don't think we have members that aren't committee members. So I would just strike that to make it cleaner. And there was a second thing where somewhere in the body of the dialogue, it says the seating is only for people with disabilities, and that's not actually correct. There should be priority seating for people with disabilities, but it's not designated as only seats for people with disabilities. So I think those two things need to be kind of addressed.
Thank you, Ken. I'm taking these notes right now.
And I think there's one other thing that comes to my mind is in the list of items that you suggested as we could be helpful with, the PSA's campaign materials, I don't know if in that list you listed bus signage, if we could have better bus signage that indicates priority levels for those types of seats. That might be another thing we can add.
Perfect. I will add that on to posters at bus stops. Thank you, Ken.
I like that, Ken, and I think yeah, that brings up, I think this letter was a long time in the making. I think we all, and as far as to David's point to Taac members versus N members, I think what he was meaning is that the Taac members themselves that have designated areas that they represent throughout the A through J or whatever it is, that those members were different than the other members that are standing members, such as AARP or CCD and stuff. I don't know if that was the case, but I do think that's what David meant by Taac members and members.
Yeah, but we're all Taac members, whether we represent an organization or a region. We're still all members of the same committee. So I think it's
right.
Just to cut that would be less redundant.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Daryl. Does anybody else have any suggestions? I located the sentence where it says is designated only for people with disabilities and those aging. I will say is designated as a priority for people with disabilities and those aging. Does that sound good?
Yep.
Sounds much better.
And then also, I think the letter should give them an adequate time to respond. We should not just leave it open and say, "Oh, we hope they respond in 2 months," but we can say, "Hey, please respond to us," but then 6 weeks or something like that. And then I'm sure if they're ready to respond to us, I'm sure they will respond a little earlier.
All right. So how about so a final sentence? We look forward to working with you on this.
Or just we look forward to a written response at your earliest convenience. I don't think we need to draw a line in the sand and make it a defensive statement. But
how about by our our next meeting. So
I think that's too definitive. We want to collaborate. We don't want to demand. So I think it's really important the way it's written.
I agree with Ken on this one, but I'm open to more suggestions or more opinions. John, you're muted. Are you talking to us or somebody else?
Yeah, I was just thinking that, you know, we don't, to say by next time is like, I don't fully understand the process that they're going through, or maybe taking it seriously takes them longer. I like the idea of including some reference to a written response. So I think I agree with Ken on that.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that's important to understand is, you know, Met Council is a large system that has a lot of bureaucracy. So by the time this gets to Commissioner Zelli or Chair Zelli, and then it gets assigned to somebody, or the team meets and discusses it, you know, it's going to take time. So I think we have to be careful about, you know, how we word that. And
so that's why I suggested a timeline to begin with. If you want to just start this as the beginning channel of a conversation, then maybe we can say we look forward to maybe setting up a informal meeting with you or your staff to discuss it further if you have any further questions or any other concerns.
Thank you, Daryl. That's what I was trying to relay. I'm not saying that we needed the final yes or no type thing in 8 weeks. I was saying that, you know, at least get back to us and we can start working on this. Just the same as we've all worked on getting to what we are right now. Didn't get done in just a week or two. Well, David knows best. I think he's been working on this as long as I've been on the committee. 2 years.
I don't know. Were you talking to me?
This is John. I think there's excuse me. I like the maybe to say that we our subcommittee continues to monitor the situation and will be in touch as needed, or something like that.
Chair Fenley, this is Pam Steffen. I have something to add.
We can barely hear you, Pam.
Your audio is not that good, Pam.
Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, that's good. All right.
All right.
Hello, Pam, and thank you. Chime in.
Hello. Hello, Chair Fenley and Taac members. Love listening to the Orange Line presentation and then also the information about priority seating. What I would like to add is that Metro Transit, the Metro Transit representative, you know, Doug Cook, and then Met Council Representative Guthrie, they've been following along kind of the process of the letter and the resolutions. What I wanted to tell folks today is that internally, Metro Transit has a draft plan regarding the resolutions, and we would like to ask that a couple of us work with some Taac members to look at the plan that we've put together addressing, you know, an educational awareness campaign about priority seating, and then also more discussion on additional priority seats. So we'd like to, I guess, if you will, form a working group so that we can get these things accomplished.
That's a big car. It's been a while since I heard an engine rev like that. Daryl, go ahead, Daryl. Thank you, Pam. Go ahead, Daryl.
Yeah, Pam, that is a nice olive branch, and I do think we can work together in forming a subcommittee that would do that with you. I think here's what I think. I think the timeline would look like, or what it would look like to us. Instead of taking your plan and providing it with us in a small group, I think we should get you on the agenda. You should present it to the committee as a whole, and then we can form that subgroup and take some of those technical questions offline, and then work accordingly on that way. But I do think it's good for the whole committee to hear what you guys have been talking about before a subcommittee or another small group is formed. And that's my opinion. You guys can take it for what it's worth, but I think it would be just easier for you to present it to us together as one body, and then the subgroup would work on the details.
This is Chair Finley. This is Pam Steffen again. We can certainly do that. The one caveat to us presenting the plan is that it's a draft plan of what we put together, and we actually want your voices in that plan.
That's why it's presented to the group.
Yep.
And Chair Finley, this is Ken.
Go ahead, Ken, and then I want to chime in. Yes.
Yeah, I don't think that's necessarily the best use of the group's time. What Pam is suggesting, I think, is a really good way of looking at the draft and formulating something that can be presented to Taac in a more holistic manner, and that will better utilize our time, I believe. There's no sense of us using our group time, which is limited, to giving the group some feedback and then having them go back and rework. I think that wastes a lot of staff and committee time. And I think working in a small group like this is a perfect way to approach this. I'm willing to work on that small team.
Thank you, Ken. This is David. We do have a good amount of time left in this meeting. I think we could probably tackle setting this up right now. I think what it sounds like, Pam, is that you are asking us to jump in kind of at the beginning stages of the discussion internally at Metro Transit and the Met Council. I would say let's just take, like Daryl said, take this olive branch and roll with it. And so I have Ken willing to sit on this. Daryl, you want to chat real fast? And then I'll ask other members if they want to say anything, and then I'll ask for some more volunteers too. So Daryl, go ahead.
Yes, I would also want to serve on that committee as well. As well as I think this is a good first step, but the letter is still going forward, right? So.
Oh yeah, the letter's going forward, and I think actually
because I think they've had plenty of time to know what our concerns are. So I think our work group should be fairly efficient and fairly small. I think we should be able to make sure our I's are dotted and our T's are crossed and everybody's happy with it. I don't think it should take a lot of time, but it is going to be a little different than how I'm used to seeing things. So.
Thank you, Daryl. Do any other members want to chime in here?
I will.
And go ahead, Sam.
I mean, I'm willing to be on the. Sorry, this is Sam. I realize you were probably asking for comments, but
both is fine. Go ahead. I just want to make sure that. Hold on, real quickly. I just want to make sure that everybody gets to at least express their opinion in response to Pam and what their proposal is, and then give folks opportunity to volunteer.
Good point. All right.
Anybody else have anything that they'd like to say here?
This is Claudia. I do agree with what Ken is saying. If we can all do it together and do it faster, we can get this thing done and rolling faster, and we can be easier getting transit. And if you do need some help, I would be willing to help out also.
I would too. This is Terry.
Well, this is Sam. I don't know how many you need, but I was putting my voice into.
I think this is plenty. That's not to say that folks shouldn't be on it. But I think 5's a good number. You know, if 1 or 2 people can't make a particular meeting, you know, we'll have folks represented. I think it's good to have different members represented on this little work group. We'll dub it a work group, so it's not so task forcey or subcommittee. All right, I think this is great. I think, you know, this will just getting the members who want to do this. I wrote down all the members' names that want to sit on this. Pam, are you the person that we should connect with on setting this work group up and starting to chat about what happens next?
Thank you, Chair Fenley and committee members. So here's where the internal Metro Transit Met Council stakeholders are at. We have a draft plan that is being reviewed by a couple of our bosses. And we hope to have that finalized within the next week. And then once we have that ready for your consumption, and my hope would be that, you know, I would reach out to the 5 folks who want to collaborate with us and figure out, you know, a time that is good for you folks to meet virtually and go over kind of what we have.
Great. I like that timeline. Things are moving quick.
Excellent.
Any other members have any questions or comments about this? I'm glad to see that we're able to move on this so quickly, and that Metro Trans and the Met Council are ready to work with us.
Chair Finley, I have a different topic to bring up when you're ready.
Okay, so let's just the letter is done. I will just give it one more once over, and then put it on our Taac letterhead, which doesn't exist. That's a joke. And send it off to the people in power at the Met Council, the chair and the Met Council members. Okay, so next. Let me pull up my agenda. Sorry, everybody. All right, so next on the agenda, we have subcommittee reports. Ken, do you have anything on the blue line?
So the blue line has re-engaged. We have only had one meeting thus far. So that process is beginning again. So as soon as I have another meeting set up, I'll let you all know.
Have the freight rail companies come to the table?
No, that's a dead deal, and we are looking at realigning the blue line alignment. So we're basically starting from square one, starting over, and looking at all the pluses and minuses of different alignments, not using the Burlington Northern right away.
Fantastic, or maybe not fantastic. I don't know.
I think it'll work out to be fine, and I think it'll give us some options in terms of going through neighborhoods that might, serve people better than just going on a railway right away that we don't have options, but going through. So we'll see how it fishes out. But there's a lot of engagement with consumers, constituents, buildings, people, businesses, and all that kind of stuff that has to be worked through. So, and then we'll have to resubmit an environmental plan. So, I mean, we're really starting again, not quite from scratch, but for a big part of the alignment, it's gonna be a heavy lift.
Thank you, Ken. It's nice to hear at least that it started back up again. Unfortunate it's from square one, but maybe they can make the best of it and get an alignment that serves the most people, like you were saying.
Yeah, and I think the other positive thing to think about is with a new administration in the federal government and Secretary Buttigieg being the head of transportation, I've been listening to some of his comments, and his comments are really about supporting new starts and new initiatives and big projects that will help communities. So I think that's a positive thing for us.
They want to put more money into it, so of course.
Daryl, we can hear you.
Daryl, we can hear you.
Sorry about that. My mic keeps unmuting itself at times. Sorry.
Yep. So I think there's some positive things perhaps that can happen with kind of the realignment of and the restructure of New Start dollars and all that kind of stuff that this project had high scores initially anyway, and now starting again, I think it's a good thing for us. So it's bad that it's taken this long, but hopefully we'll turn it into a positive.
All right, good discussion. Did Christopher Bates, did you join us in the meeting at all? Throughout the meeting at all? Okay. Move on to Gold Line and Rush Line, even though we had I'm sorry, that was Orange Line that we had today. Gold Line and Rush Line from Daryl. Did you have any updates for us?
I was just trying to pull those up. I think I'll have a better report going forward. How it works for me is I usually send the reports to you a few days ahead of time, and I usually send it to Allison to get copied off. I've not been doing that lately, but we did hear a Gold Line report a couple months ago pretty extensively, because they were in a comment period or review period, and I believe at that moment they were almost 60% of the way done, and then the Rush Line was they had one or two more meetings before they entered into their next phase, which was going to start this early spring for the next phase. I can provide more detail next month, and I'll provide it ahead of time so that we can look at it ahead of time. Sorry about that.
Oh, it's all good. Thank you, Daryl. I have nothing in my chair's report. I'll let anybody from the public comment if they would like to comment at this time. Okay, nobody's chiming in. Member comment. We have a little bit of time for this, so members, if you want the floor to talk, Daryl, go ahead.
And Ken.
Under member comment, I would like to bring up two things. One, I would like to, when the letter actually is submitted and sent off, I would like to make sure that we see a copy of it or put it at least in our file, as well as make sure that it gets posted. Maybe it gets posted online. Maybe it gets posted on the website, as well as there's a really unique opportunity for folks with disabilities to weigh in on some really innovative parenting legislation that I and a few other folks have brought forth personally on a private level, and and we can talk offline about that more. But I would just encourage folks, even though we're not being able to engage with each other in person, or we're not being able to go up to the Capitol, don't forget to be intentionally reaching out to your representatives and to your senators and tell them how important transit is to you, whether that means public transportation, whether that means private transportation, whether that means you've been stuck in the house because of COVID and because of the pandemic. They want to hear those things, and it's important for you to say those things today more than ever before. So if I can help you do it offline or in a personal level, reach out to me. We'll help you do it.
Ken, did you have
I did.
Member comment? Go ahead.
Yeah, I would like to request that maybe Andy and you could get together and figure out if there is if our meetings wouldn't be better suited by using the Teams platform. I know Met Council uses Teams internally. The state uses Teams internally, and it seems to be a much easier user interface to use. I cannot find any of my typical opportunities to turn and mute myself, unmute myself, turn video on, off. All that stuff is missing today, and we've had a lot of audio issues with other people as well. I think this is WebEx is just a very difficult system to use. It's not user friendly. So I would just like to suggest that if you and Andy could put your heads together and see if Teams might not be a better approach for us to use. It's much easier all around, and I think it's a stable platform.
Thank you, Ken. Do any other members have comments at this time?
Yeah, this is Carrie Sheldon. I had my hand up. I wanted to discuss or just mention that because of this COVID-19 thing, I've had occasionally had issues with drivers not wanting to tie my chair or scooter down because they don't want to have physical contact or anything like that. But I mean, we're talking about safety here. And I would just like to mention it here, but I don't know if I need to mention it offline to anybody or...
Chair, Carrie, this is Andy. Please do, whenever that happens, call it in to the Metro Mobility Service Center. We're going to want to know specifically what driver that is. You absolutely do need to still secure every mobility device, regardless of whether somebody transfers out of it or not. And for people who do still need proximate escorting, drivers are still required to do that. We have told drivers that if people are stable or are able to self-propel, that they can stay 6 feet away during an escort. But those two ifs are really important. So, and those are the only changes we've made with regard to escorting or tying down or anything like that. So, absolutely, we want to know if drivers are trying to avoid tying it down or not escorting upon request.
Andy, I was actually specifically speaking about Metro Transit.
Yeah. That would be Pam Steffen. She's on this call. You talk to her about it.
Yeah, Pam, I'll talk to you offline about this too.
Hey guys, Taac members, just hearing what you're saying, Carrie. And as most of you know, I manage the customer relations department. But please feel free to send me an email or call my office phone. I'm happy to take the report on what specific operator it is. You can always call one of my staff too. They actually are better at the research than I am.
Okay, thanks, Pam.
Thank you, Carrie. Yeah, it's good for members here to know these things, but definitely the best way is to go through the formal channels of reporting these things when they happen, so drivers can be properly identified, and then information can be conveyed to them. So thank you, Pam and Andy, for answering. Do any other members have a comment? Patsy, go ahead.
Actually, two different things. One, now that I am back to going out and doing different things, and actually been filling in at work, I've been using Metro more since pandemic came along. And with the change of the company that we have, these people have been amazing, whether that is scheduling my ride, the drivers, timeliness, whatever. Just want to pass that on. It's been going great. The second thing, and I'm not sure how many people this will really affect, but part of my Brain Injury Alliance group, we meet weekly because we're not able to be at the Capitol. We do it what our leader calls Z-Taac, Zoom Tuesday at the Capitol. One of our ladies is up in Greater Minnesota, and her big concern that she has is ability of transportation, and for her to come down to be at the Capitol and go back home the way they do things up there, it would cost her $150 or something like that, because it would be the same way as you would pay for a cab. Plus, she has to pay for them to have lunch while sitting and waiting for it. Anyhow, that is going, it's in the works right now of becoming, we jokingly call idea becoming a bill becoming a law. That is something in the works right now for anybody who knows of people outside of the immediate metro area that we're working towards.
Thank you, Patsy. Any other members have comment? We still have
Richard.
There. Yes, Richard, go ahead.
I have a comment, or maybe it's a question. It seems that when we have presentations, for instance, the Orange Line presentation today, and I'm not trying to single them out because I think it's a typical that I find out about the comment periods or the engagement periods when the presentation is done and the comment period is getting close to being over. And I'm just wondering if there's a way we can get, or I can get better information about what projects have comment periods going on. So, because the organization I represent, AARP, is not that nimble in terms of getting information out in a short amount of time. And it would be helpful to know about these things with more lead time. That's my comment.
Thank you, Richard. There's no requirement for Metro Transit or my council staff to respond, but Sarah has her hand up, so I will let Sarah talk now.
Thank you, Chair. I would just mention that, and maybe Pam can help carry this message, that if they're doing public comment periods, I do have a mailing list for both Metro Mobility customers as well as the Taac, and I'd be happy to forward on any public comment periods that are happening. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. While this thought was being talked about. I was typing a bullet point to my boss, Robin Kaufman, who oversees the outreach and engagement team. And so I will let her know and see how we can make a part of that, of our plan, of the plans that the coordinators develop, is to make it automatic that they reach out to you guys and some other folks that Sarah mentioned. Just make it a normal part of the plan is what I'm trying to say.
And Chair Finley, this is Ken. I just also want to share that all of these projects have mailing lists that you can sign up for to receive all kinds of information related to particular lines. I don't know if there's a general mail list that you can sign up, but I know I see pretty regularly opportunities to be added to a mailing list to keep abreast of a specific project. So that's something that is also an option for members to sign up individually.
Thank you, Ken. I tend to be on the side of opting in rather than automatically being added to things. So how about Pam and Sarah? I'll work with you, or I could probably just dig up the website and mailing list signups and get out those mailing list sign up in options to Taac members. So if they do want to opt in to receive updates on particular projects or just all projects in general, we can. Any other member comment? Daryl.
Chair, I believe I don't know if Met Council can be searched this way or added this way, but it's similar to the airport. The airport has a number of commissions and committees that they alert folks to, and you can pick and choose what committees you can subscribe to, and that can be changed at any time. I believe if we go into the Met Council website and go into their publications or their subscriptions, I believe they have a similar feature. It may not show up on our phones, but it probably does show up on a desktop or on a larger device, I bet. But I believe you would be able to sign up and opt out on your own choice. So.
Thank you, Daryl. Do any other Taac members have comments? All right. Well, that is our last agenda item. Thank you all. We gained 20 minutes back of your day, so enjoy it. Thank you all. See you in March. And have a good rest of your day and enjoy the cold weather this weekend.